Hello and welcome to another episode of BARD Talk on Grammar and Thongs, where we look at literacy through the works of Shakespeare. Today I'm going to be talking about the sonnet, which is a form of poetry that has been around for a long time but was made famous by Shakespeare, and now we talk about such a thing as a Shakespearean sonnet. First, let's look at the word so we understand where it came from. The word sonnet actually comes from an Italian word sonetto, which translates literally as little song, which makes sense when you think about the lyrical or musical nature of a sonnet when you read it out loud. A sonnet is a 14-line lyric poem, and usually it's written in iambic pentameter, which is that pattern of 5 metric feet, each one an unstressed followed by a stressed syllable. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. There are early videos on that if you want to brush up on iambic pentameter. A lyric poem is a short musical verse that deals with feelings or emotions. Often it deals with love. So that's a lyric poem. The word lyric actually comes from the ancient Greek word lyric, which was a type of poem that was accompanied by music. So this is all starting to come together here. And the music was usually provided by an instrument known as a lyre, which is what this is up here. Interesting, that's also where we get in Australia our word, or the name of our bird, the lyrebird, which is because if you look at the tail of the lyrebird, it looks quite similar to the instrument if you flipped it upside down. It is not, as I thought when I was a kid, because the lyrebird was good at imitating other sounds in the forest, so it was a lyre. It's to do with the shape of the instrument. So that's sonnet and lyric. In terms of a Shakespearean sonnet, what happened in Shakespeare's day was he sort of took the form from the Italian but adapted it because it was a little tricky to rhyme in English, and so he changed the structure and came up with what we now know as a Shakespearean sonnet, which was 3 4-line units, which are called quatrains, plus a concluding 2-line unit, which we call couplet. So 3 units of 4 lines followed by 1 unit of 2 lines. He wrote a lot of sonnets on their own as well as in his plays. In fact, he published a collection of 154 sonnets in 1609, which included such famous ones as sonnet number 18, and starts with these lines. And as I read this, you'll be able to hear the iambic pentameter pattern. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. So apart from writing them on their own, he also included them in his plays. And Romeo and Juliet is a play all about love, so it makes sense that there are 3 significant sonnets within the play. There's the prologue at the beginning of Act 1, the prologue at the beginning of Act 2, and there's also that moment in Act 1, Scene 5, when Romeo and Juliet meet at the party. And the sonnet starts at the point when Romeo takes Juliet's hand, and then they talk to each other back and forth, talking about their love, sometimes talking in quite religious terms, about sort of worshipping each other. So it was really elevating their love, which, the sonnet form also helped to do, and then it finishes at the moment that they kiss. So a highly appropriate scene for a sonnet. Interestingly, the prologue is less obvious because this is where Shakespeare gives us the story up front and lets us know that it's not going to go well for these 2 lovers. So that's an interesting way that he's used the sonnet, this sort of very romantic form of poetry, to bring in that darker side of the love story of Romeo and Juliet. We'll use the prologue to have a look at the rhyming scheme of a sonnet as Shakespeare writes them. So the prologue goes, 2 households both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. So you can see we've got the 1st and 3rd lines rhyming and the 2nd and 4th. So we've got A, B, A, B. The second quatrain starts, from forth the fatal loins of these 2 foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventures, piteous overthrows, do with their death bury their parents' strife. And so we've got foes and overthrows, life and strife, C, D, C, D. It continues, the fearful passage of their death-marked love, and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end naught could remove, is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage. And so again, we've got E rhyming with E, and F rhyming with F. Love and remove, bit of a stretch, but it's Shakespeare, so we'll let him get away with it. And then finally, so we've got our 3 4-line units here. 1, 2, and 3. And finally, so that should go there. And finally, we end with a 1 2-line unit, the couplet. The which, if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. So he's using a type of love poetry, a sonnet, to emphasise the sort of death-marked nature of this love. So that is a sonnet. If you stick to this rhyming scheme and you use iambic pentameter, then you'll be able to write a Shakespearean sonnet. Thank you.